What's going on, everybody? Welcome in the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman, and coming up on today's show, Dan Orlovsky had some interesting comments and thoughts on JJ McCarthy and why he is set up to succeed this season with Kevin O'Connell and the Vikings offense. And then Adrian Peterson, he got snubbed from the quarter century team that ESPN put out at the running back position. Kind of a shocker on this, but we'll dive into that on the tail half of today's show. But before we dive into it, I got to ask you guys this. What is your favorite TV show of all time? I'm trying to find some TV shows to binge during the dog days of the NFL season. So if you guys could, give me some recommendations down below. For me, I love Stranger Things, Breaking Bad's up there, The Sopranos, that's definitely up there. I don't know. If you guys could, just give me one of your favorite TV shows of all time. All right, so Dan Orlovsky was on the Pat McAfee show talking about the Minnesota Vikings, talking about JJ McCarthy, and he really believes JJ is going to have a monster season during his first year starting with Kevin O'Connell on this Vikings offense. This is what Dan had to say, saying, I think he's going to be awesome this year. Honestly, I totally believe production-wise, he'll play very similar to what Sam Darnold did last year. One, there's just a scheme and a roster talent. Minnesota is the easiest place in the NFL to play quarterback this year. It's as good as an offensive roster as we have in the NFL, and then you combine it with the scheme and play caller and Kevin O'Connell, a lot of guys would go to Minnesota and play good football. I think JJ, the skills that he has and the foundation that he has, he's a play on rhythm, listen to his feet when it comes to where and when to throw the football, the timing of the way he plays the position, the way he was taught to play the position at Michigan is perfect for what is the necessary stuff playing that position in Minnesota. And I'll say this, shout out to Dan Orlovsky. This is the first time anybody has shown any types of love to the Minnesota Vikings this offseason. Anytime, any of these big time, media heads are talking about him, it's always like a negative with JJ. Oh, what if he doesn't work out? What if the Vikings regret not bringing Sam Darnold back? Well, what if it's the opposite? What if JJ ends up being a top 10 quarterback and the Vikings have a loaded roster with a top 10 quarterback on a rookie deal? And honestly, I think support system with these young quarterbacks is 50% of QB success. Now, obviously, you have the all-time greats like the Josh Allens, Lamar Jacksons, Joe Burrows, Patrick Mahomes, those types of quarterbacks. They can overcome even a terrible organization. But still, even with Mahomes, he walked into the NFL, he had Andy Reid, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, all in their primes, and then you even look at a guy like Joe Burrow. Yes, he turned around the Bengals organization, but he also had Jamar Chase. So I think the support system really, really does matter. And when you have even like Josh McCown, Kevin O'Connell, all these weapons for the Vikings, JJ should be set up for success. And I will say JJ throughout his whole football playing career has had top-tier coaching. Now, back in high school when he was at Nazareth Academy in Chicago, Illinois, my high school coach actually as well, Tim Rackey, one of the best high school football coaches in Illinois state history. Then he went to IMG, had good coaching there. And then it was Jim Harbaugh in Michigan. And now he's stepping into Kevin O'Connell and the Minnesota Vikings. He really couldn't have asked for better coaching throughout his life. And I really cannot see how JJ McCarthy won't work. Now, listen, if JJ was going to, a poor organization like the Cleveland Browns or something, it didn't have a good support system, we could see him possibly fizzling out. But with just his natural talent, how he is just between his ears, this mentality, I don't see any reason why JJ cannot step into the league and be a top 12 guy. And he doesn't really have a weakness in his game. He can move outside the pocket. He can play backyard football. He can also play on time and in rhythm, like Orlovsky was saying. And with the Vikings offense, timing is everything. A lot of these throws where Jefferson's running these deep in routes, Addison, obviously he's great at that deep crosser. A lot of those are just timing throws. And JJ excelled at that during his time in Michigan. So I really don't see any way he doesn't end up not working. Now, to the level of how much it does work, that might be the difference between the Vikings, winning a Super Bowl, going to the NFC Championship game, or possibly just making the playoffs and losing in the first round if it doesn't, go well and he doesn't hit the ground running right away. But I still think with how talented this roster is, top to bottom, with Kevin O'Connell, the floor for JJ is incredibly high. Now, the ceiling of JJ's game, that comes down to him. That's not the support system. That will, really determine how, great he is as an NFL quarterback. Let's show QB1 some love down below in the comments section. Type those nines, type his jersey number. Finally got some good news on JJ McCarthy from Dan Orlovsky, so that's great stuff. But type his jersey number down below in the comments section. Now we'll talk about Adrian Peterson and this quarter century team. here in a second. But first, I got to tell you guys about a new product here at Vikings Now by Chat Sports, and that is Factor Form. Now, if you guys want to start your day right with Daily Greens by Factor Form, head to factor75.com/VikingsChat to get 40% off plus free shipping on your first order. Now, I have tried green supplements in the past, and I swore I was never going to try them again until I tried Factor Form's Daily Greens. And most of us dread drinking greens, but Factor Form changed the game. You actually crave your greens as a sister brand to Factor Meals. Factor Form was designed to work hand in hand with your meals, making better nutrition effortless. Daily Greens is a greens powder by Factor Form you look forward to drinking. Just one scoop delivers 100% of your daily nutrients, filling nutrient gaps, supporting whole body health, and helping you feel your best. With a refreshing, citrusy, clean, and smooth taste that's actually enjoyable to drink, mix a single serve pack in water, and you are good to go. Daily Greens by Factor Form is made from real vegetables, packed with a whole serving of kale and spinach without tasting like it. And in a blind taste test, Daily Greens ranked #1 in taste, texture, and aroma, beating out the biggest names in the industry. So if you guys want to start your day right with Daily Greens by Factor Form, head over to factor75.com/VikingsChat to get 40% off plus free shipping on your first order. That's factor75.com/VikingsChat for 40% off plus free shipping. Hit that link in the comment section and description of today's show, factor75.com/VikingsChat. All right, let's talk about a little Adrian Peterson. Love this. Get to talk about some of the greats of the Minnesota Vikings here on the tail half of today's show. But Adrian Peterson, he was snubbed from the quarter century team by ESPN. A bit of a shocker here. And the three running backs they actually had were Priest Holmes, Christian McCaffrey, and Derrick Henry. And also their practice squad as their honorable mentions. They did have LaDainian Tomlinson. So AP didn't even crack that list. Honestly, when I saw this, my initial reaction was ESPN just forgot Adrian Peterson played football. Now, I have an issue with McCaffrey being on this over AP and also, obviously, Priest Holmes. I really can't see an argument you can make for either of these two guys, not even being ahead of AP, but also being ahead of LaDainian Tomlinson. LT was one of the best running backs we have ever seen. And if you're just comparing numbers between AP and Priest Holmes, like AP dominates. Like he truly was that bell cow running back. He carried that Vikings team in 2012 when he was coming off that torn ACL. He was 9 yards away from the single season rushing record, but he was just dominant, just under 15,000 yards in his career. And you still feel like with Adrian Peterson, he was one of those guys where he could carry an offense. Like he was the offense. And, you know, you look at that Vikings team when they backed into the playoffs, when AP was having that special year, like it was Christian Ponder, not a lot of weapons on the outside, an okay offensive line. And AP truly put that team on his back and led that Vikings team to the playoffs. But also some more here from the Vikings. Randy Moss, Calvin Johnson, Julio Jones, T.O., and Marvin Harrison and Justin Jefferson. Those are the 6 wide receivers they had for the quarter century team. And, you know, it's pretty cool that the Vikings had 2 guys on this list. I was actually shocked they put Jefferson on here, but it also does kind of make some sense. I don't really think there would be any other receiver they would put over him, but still pretty cool that Jefferson's already getting this type of love this early in his NFL career. I mean, the guy's only been playing for 4 years now, and he's already making, you know, quarter century team. So, you know, it's cool that Moss is on there as well. Also for the defensive tackles, Kevin Williams was an honorable mention for that list as well. But even the edge team, we actually got Jared Allen on this list. And I'll tell you what, these 4, I mean, just the dominant edge rushers we have had. I was a little shocked that maybe Von Miller didn't get it since he did have a Super Bowl MVP, Super Bowl champ. You know, actually 2-time Super Bowl champ for Von. So I was a little shocked they didn't put him on there. But you still had DeMarcus Ware. He's an absolute stud. Jared Allen was that one year he had 22.5 sacks, 23.5 sacks. He was dominant that season. We still had a guy like Myles Garrett, who was one of the best of all time. And then personally one of my favorite players ever to play in the National Football League, Julius Peppers. That guy was an absolute stud. But I will say, just going over the quarter century team, it is incredible how many all-time great players this Vikings organization has had, and the Vikings don't have a Super Bowl. You know, the Vikes actually do have the 4th highest winning percentage of all time out of all NFL teams, and they have, I mean, when was the last time the Vikings made the Super Bowl? It's been a minute. And the fact that they have never won one, like even just Moss, Chris Carter, like Culpepper, Jared Allen, like Adrian Peterson, all of these top-end, truly like all-time great talents, the Vikings have yet to put it all together, but hopefully with this new era of Vikings football with Jefferson, JJ McCarthy, Kevin O'Connell, they can finally break through, at least just win some playoff games. That's all we're hoping for here in Minnesota. But we appreciate you guys watching today's show. And if you guys made it to the end of today's show, hit me with a skull down below in the comment section. And also, if you made it to the end, we're doing something right here. So if you guys could, hit that subscribe button on your way out. And we'll see you guys next time. As always, Skull Vikes.